So, so here I have a recipe for mac and cheese. Everybody's favorite, right? My recipe is a recipe that serves 4 people. So if I wanted to serve 4 people, I would use 8 ounces of macaroni, 4 tablespoons of butter, 1/4 of a cup of flour, 1 bay leaf, 2.5 cups of shredded cheddar cheese, and 1.5 cups of shredded Gruyere cheese. Gruyere cheese is like just a fancy kind of Swiss. But let's say I was having a party and I wanted to invite 7 imaginary friends. So altogether, we would be 8 people. Well, what would I want to do to the recipe? I would want to double it or multiply it by 2. In order for it to taste the same, all the ingredients would have to stay in the same ratio or be proportional. And so I have to think, what is it that I want to do to the amount that would serve 4 in order to serve 8? And that would be multiply by 2, right? Because 4 times 2 would be 8. Okay, so let's see what happens here. I would say, okay, 8 times 2, I would need 16 ounces of pasta. I would need 8 tablespoons of butter. And then 1/4 times 2 would be 2/4 or 1/2 of a cup of flour. I would need 2 bay leaves. And let's see what would happen here. So in order to multiply the mixed number, I have to change it to an improper fraction. And so that would be 2 times 4, 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So we would have 5/2 times 2 over 1, which would actually equal 10 over 2, which equals 5. So I would need 5 cups of shredded cheddar. And then for 1.5 cups of Gruyere, that would be 3/2 times 2 over 1, which would be 3 cups of Gruyere. Well, that's kind of convenient because now I have whole numbers to work with. But now what's going to happen? Well, I don't really have 7 friends that I can invite over. Maybe it's just me and 1 friend. That means I need something that's going to serve 2. So instead of multiplying by 2, I'm going to need, for the original recipe, to get from 4 to 2, I'm going to need to divide by 2. Okay? What else can I do? If I wanted to, I could take this up here and I could actually do 8 divided by 4. Okay, so if you recall, we can work in several different ways on a ratio table. I could start from the first column and divide 4 by 2 to get the serves 2, or I could take the serves 8 and divide by 4. I'm going to start with the serves 4 because the division is easier. Okay, so actually, you know what? I think now I'm going to, looking at this, I think I'm going to use the serves 8 because if you'll remember, that gave us whole numbers for the shredded cheese. And I want to remind you how we do that. So let's go from the 16 and divide by 4. So that's going to be 4, all right? 4 ounces of pasta just for me and my friend. Here, divide 8 by 4, which is 2 tablespoons of butter. This is going to be 1/2 divided by 4, which is 1/2 times the reciprocal of 4. And that's going to give me what? 1/8. And here I'm going to divide 2 by 4. How do I do that? Oh, 2 divided by 4. Remember that? Because fraction's another way of writing a division problem. So that's going to equal 1/2. And then again, here we go. 5 divided by 4, we would just write 5 divided by 4. Now, that's going to equal 1 1/4, but I'm going to use this column for the serves 6. So I think I'm just going to leave it as an improper fraction. And here for the shredded Gruyere, I have 3, and I need to divide that by 4, so that's going to be 3/4. All right, so those are the amounts that I need. Circle them because there's some calculations here. Okay, and now lastly, let's say I am mildly popular. Okay, so I have 5 friends all together. We will be 6. How am I going to get that? Well, my red column here serves 2. What do I have to do to 2 to get 6? I have to multiply by 3. So I have to multiply all of these ingredients. Okay, so let's do that. 4 times 3, 12 ounces of pasta. 2 times 3, 6 tablespoons of butter. 1/8 times 3, 3/8 of a cup of flour. 1/2 times 3 is 3/2, or 1 1/2. I can do that because I don't need any more calculations. So I can now put it into a mixed number. Okay, here, now you see why I left it as an improper fraction. I want to multiply this by 3/1, and that's going to give me 15/4, and 15/4 is equal to 3/4 or 12. So 3 3/4. And then this is going to be times 3/1. And that's going to be 3 times 3 is 9. And 9/4. And 9/4 is going to be equal to 2, right? Because 8/4 would be 2 and 1/4. And so that's all that we need to do. We need to we call it either scaling up or scaling down. And the reason that we have to do this is because if we have a great recipe for mac and cheese, we want to make sure that no matter how much we make, for how many people, it is all going to taste exactly the same.